Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the second hour of news and views on Salam Media. It is just gone 18 after 9 o'clock, and we're going to be looking at a story which is way overdue. And it is regarding the United States government, or rather United States Commission on International Religious Freedom, suggesting that treatment of minorities has worsened under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's BJP ruling. They are now calling for blacklisting in India over religious freedom, saying that the treatment of minorities has truly worsened. Let's talk to a political analyst, independent political analyst, and that is Salman Khan. An ex-colleague of mine, might I add. Nice to talk with you. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the program. Salman?
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. How are you? Nice to be talking with you this morning.
Alhamdulillah, yes. Assalamu alaikum to you and to all the beautiful listeners of Salam Media. It has been a long while that we have not spoken.
Okay, so Salman, the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom have offered recommendations, but they don't set policy, and there's little expectation that the State Department will accept its stance on India. Obviously, India is a growing partner, bilateral partner to the United States. Do you think this is all talk and there'll be no action regarding this issue?
Well, in the current geopolitical situation, you are 100% right. There may be no implementation, but these bodies are not there for a fun. They carry a lot of weight. It seems like a Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, and this religious watchdog body, which is watching the international appreciation and the practices, the freedom for the religion in other countries. And they had recommendation, the independent panels, which make with a powerful panelists and some of the ex-government officials. They're recommending that India should be put onto the blacklist as the other countries has been put in the past, and not forgetting that the Prime Minister Modi was at some point in time was blacklisted and called a terrorist into USA.
Now, we do know that the United States department each year, this particular department, lists countries where it sees particular concern on religious freedom, with the prospect of sanctions without any improvement. In this situation, is that ever going to happen? Do you hold out any hope that it would make a difference?
Well, as I mentioned to you, in the current prevailing geopolitical situation where the Americans are on back foot when it comes to the Ukraine war, when you see that American hegemony on the international political has been diminished and they are not being at the forefront, or they're not at the front foot of fighting back to Russia, they're looking for the allies. And of course, since the China, the Iran, and the Russia had made their own bloc, they are not having much of the joy to find international support apart from the few European countries. So India is one of the biggest democracy in their mind, and as well as one of the biggest market. So U.S. government as a Congress will be very much at the back foot to adopt any resolution against India, because they need the support of India in the war against Ukraine and many other things. So, but having said that, as I said to you earlier, that these bodies, they do carry the weight, and they're going to actually definitely push U.S. government to look into them. And if that has not become a sanction or blacklisting, but it is already international media, which we call it putting a country at the media trial, and that's already had caused quite a hoop and hooray and international brand damage to the Indian enterprise.
Okay, so at least even if they're just paying lip service, they are creating the awareness that they're aware of the fact that this is violence and destruction against minority parties. Over and above, I also see it as being very Islamophobic, because this annual report has pointed to India violence and destruction of property targeting Muslims and Christians, and it has made links to comments and social media posts by members of Modi's Hindu nationalist BJP party. And that party seems to be gaining traction in India, does it not?
Yeah, that is 100% correct. But of course, it's not only the Christians and the Muslims. It also include the Sikhs, Dalitis, Advaitis, as well as the Naxalites, and there are many other, 67 different minorities. Those are at the receiving end. The India by and large is a huge, the radius or the country where there are more than 1,000 castes and religious practices around. So, these are the major, I would say, the religion, those has been persecuted, and especially the Sikhs and the Dalitis, and, the people, those from the Assam and Advazis, and of course, not forgetting the Kashmiris people, which is also the Muslims, the bearing of the Muslim religion. So, yes, there is we must not forget the rise of Modi, the Prime Minister Modi, is from the ashes of Gujarat massacre. He came to the power because of
Mm,
his persecution of the Muslims in the Gujarat
yes.
2000,
Mm,
and from there he rose, constantly raising into the power, and now the BJP has become the most significant and one of the biggest ruling party, and the what you call it, the opposition, which was used to be the very strong for the 75-year Congress, had diminished under less than a 10% of the opposition party. So yes, BJP is strongly growing, and of course is growing at the name of the populist politic of against minorities, and where they're saying the Akhwan Hind, which is, they even have make a statement in the parliament that we're not going to stop. We should be the temple. The Kaaba should be turned into the temple where we should be putting our statues back into. So their religious persecution, disrespect to the other Muslim, the other religion is diminishing. Then the India used to be such a beautiful secular society. It used to be all inclusive. It has lost the luster in the last 8 or 9 years since the
mm.
Prime Minister Modi has taken the office. And of course, it has been, definitely noticed by the US government. We must not forget that this body is, as I said to you earlier, has carried the weight, and then they're going to put the recommendation. And this bill is going to be either accepted or put onto the moratorium by the Congress. So this is still the recommendation has been made. It is going to go to the Congress, and we cannot just presume that is a lip service. So it is still. But I mean, as I said to you, just by putting the recommendation, they have gone through a lot of processes, and they have definitely found allegations that it put India into the hot seat.
Okay, and finally, this very same commission has also recommended that the State Department add a number of US partners to a watch list of countries that risked being blacklisted without improvement. And I'd like your thoughts on the countries that I'm going to mention here. It includes Egypt, Indonesia, and Turkey. And for me, next to Turkey is a big question mark. Your thoughts?
I'm also reading the report. Is also include Myanmar. Is also include Saudi Arabia. Yes, of course, definitely the Turkey. Um, I have not seen any report where the religious freedom has been at the risk, or religious freedom has been curtailed. So I do not know why the Turkey name has been. Maybe there are merits in the report they have, which I have not studied. But I know the Saudis, their name is there as well, which is one of the strongest partners from the UAE. And so yeah, it's an interesting time, and yeah. So let's see how it gets formed. And but of course, the Turkey is being seen as one of the growing power in the Asia Minor, and also they are not siding with the U.S. bloc at the war, for the war of the Ukraine, against the
Mm, mm.
Ukrainian war. So I think as any country which is not siding the U.S. and the NATO into this Russian and Ukrainian conflict, they're definitely in that their side, and their name will come. But I'm surprised to see that the report, which is coming out from the USA, looking at banning or putting India at the blacklisting, and that is quite a big surprise to me.
And comforting for us as Muslims, is it not? Whether anything will come of it is another story, but just the fact that they're acknowledging that India is guilty of crimes against minority groups. To wrap up there, just to go back to Turkey, we do know that it doesn't serve the United States to have Erdogan still in power. So lots of interesting things to watch with the Turkish general elections coming up. Your thoughts? Do you want to look into your crystal ball and tell us what you foresee regarding Turkey's general elections?
It's few days left. I think it's on the 14th of May, and we watch with a great, I would say,
Interest.
expectation,
Yes,
interest and expectations, and in anxiety. By all means, it looked like Erdogan is going to go back and winning. But of course, you know that the American led, what we call it, a revolution, was instigated by what kind of Mohammed Gulen from USA, who is operating, and they, of course, they want to destabilize the Turkey.
Turkey.
But the most interesting thing is going to happen, that if Erdogan has to be winning again and coming back into the power, we might will see through the Lausanne Treaty. The Treaty happened after the World War One, where the certain waterways and certain, the port was seized for Turkey, to the Allied forces, not to use for the economic use. And that treaty is about to expire in a few years' time. And I think once the Lausanne Treaty is done, it will be a game changer in the whole of the European Union, how they do the trade, and how the Turkey can reinforce its trade route into the water. And that is going to be quite interesting to see. And also, Erdogan has been also requesting to South Africa to accept him as a part of a BRICS. So Turkey is putting up a formal request to be a part of the BRICS conference, which is about to happen in August. And just to add a little bit of more information to you, that Mr. Modi is very much looking forward to come back after the 5 year, where 5 years ago we opened up a case against with the Mala, with the help of Muslim Lawyer Association and South African Kashmiri Group, for the Kashmiri people, the war crime case, and that case is still pending in the court, and we have a warrant of arrest waiting for him.
Interesting times ahead, Salman. No doubt we will be talking lots more in the coming days regarding the Turkish general elections and a whole host more. Shukran very much for your time this morning and your insights. Till the next time, as always, Assalamu alaikum to you.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.